show in the 716. Today, I'm joined by Thomas Bailey, Caleb Abula, Michelle Morocco to talk about the Bills. Later on, we'll be talking about the NFL, the MLB, the WNBA. There's a lot more to come, so make sure to stay tuned. But first, we will talk about the Bills' dominating win against the Dolphins on Thursday, winning 31-10 behind multiple great performances. First, I want to talk about Josh Allen. Wasn't asked to do too much. He was 13 for 19, 139 yards and a touchdown. Thomas, what were your thoughts on how he played in this game?
Honestly, it was perfect football from the Bills. The defense did what it had to do. James Cook did what he had to do. The offensive line was great. Gave him some good running lanes. Josh Allen, when he doesn't have to play superhuman football like last week against the Arizona Cardinals, the Buffalo Bills are a better football team. They're not a one-dimensional football team. They're having a receiver by committee situation. Josh Allen doesn't have to run the ball 8 to 10 times a game and get 3 rushing touchdowns. This Bills offense looks genuinely better than it did at all last season, and it's a very good sign early in the season.
Were you at all worried about his hand going into the game? I know he had the one fumble. He's still wearing the
glove on the hand. Does that concern you at all?
It doesn't, and honestly, I think that can kind of transition into why he didn't throw that ball too many times. I feel like they wanted to lean on the ground game a lot anyway, considering that is the weakness of the Miami defense, considering Javon Holland and Jalen Ramsey are two of the better guys in the league in their secondary, and Kader Coe, who is on the come up for them as well. So realistically, that rush defense is something that we had to expect, especially after losing Christian Wilkins in free agency this year. So James Cook did what he had to do. Josh Allen didn't have to run the ball himself, and we kind of stayed conservative in that regard. We knew what we were doing. We knew we were up by big points in the entirety of this game. We knew we didn't have to make him do anything crazy and injure that hand worse, and I like that decision by McDermott.
Yeah, as you mentioned, James Cook had a really big game, obviously, with the 3 touchdowns.
Michelle, was there anyone else who really stood out to you in this game?
On offense or defense?
Anyone in general?
Okay, let's talk about defense. Marcus Ingram came in after Johnson got hurt, and he got 2 interceptions, and one of those interceptions he brought down for a 31-yard touchdown. He really came in to prove himself. He's not in often, and that was a really big thing for him. So I'm excited to see if they start to play him more.
Is there anyone else, maybe in the offensive side of the ball, that stuck out to you?
I had James Cook down. That was really, really big for me. He had the 95 yards in total. 78 of those yards were rushing and 17 of the yards were receiving. Just 3 touchdowns, not just 3 touchdowns just in the first half. That's what I meant. I meant just in the first half, which is insane. So I'm really excited to see him be that target person for Allen in the upcoming weeks.
And despite the Bills having a dominating win, one of the biggest storylines from this game would be injuries. As Terrell Bernard tore his pec, he is now out for about a month. So now the Bills are without Matt Milano, Taron Johnson, and Terrell Bernard. Caleb, what are your thoughts on these injuries?
So it's actually a strained pec for Terrell Bernard. He's going to miss about a month. Taron Johnson's week to week. I think we can expect him around week 5 to come back, as he wasn't placed on IR, so that's always a good sign. And as far as Milano,
it really can't be anywhere December or him not come back at all this season with the tricep stuff.
But the one thing I'd really love to see is everybody stepping up in the place of those injuries. So Dorian Williams obviously coming in for Matt Milano, and he's been much better than last season. He's been much better in disguising his pass coverage. The run defense has been really solid. And that also happens to be Baylon Spector, who stepped in for Terrell Bernard at the Mike spot. And he's been very, very solid. They have a combined 27 tackles in 2 games. And on top of those 2, with Taron Johnson going out, he also plays a nickel, but sometimes a third safety, essentially. So having Cam Lewis step up and Jamarcus Ingram, who have a combined 2 picks, multiple tackles for loss, and have just been so instrumental in that pass coverage and how great they've been against elite wide receivers, you couldn't be happier with how guys are stepping up, and hopefully our starters come back soon, healthy.
And then obviously the biggest injury storyline from the game would be Tua, as he just had his 4th concussion. He suffered in the 3rd quarter. It looked very bad on the field. A lot of people now are calling for his retirement, as concussions are no joke. What are your thoughts on that situation?
I don't think you can tell him to retire from football. It's something he's worked for his entire life. He spent hours upon hours perfecting his craft. And now the concussions are scary. I understand that. The fencing position on the field is really rough to see. But I think the best thing that everybody around him can do is give him as much information as possible, not pressure him in any way, and allow him to make a decision for himself as he's a grown man and a professional. And everybody just keep thinking about him, praying for his family and him. But yeah, just giving him as much information as possible and not forcing him towards one decision or another.
Yeah, I totally agree. The Bills do take on the Jacksonville Jaguars at home on Monday night. Thomas, what are you looking to see out of Josh Allen in this game?
I'm not looking to see too much out of Josh. I really just want to keep that hand from getting worse than it already is. I'm obviously assuming that it's going to be a lot better than it was last week. Obviously, not a short week. He's had a week and a half to kind of heal from that injury. But one thing I do want to kind of see is him take advantage of the secondary. If there's a defensive struggle for the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's in the secondary. It's been a very much so known to the world these last few seasons. So for Josh Allen to kind of take those receivers and get the most out of them, like he always can do, to get them out of the game in this one is something we really need to see him do. So that's what I'm looking forward to with Josh Allen.
Michelle, what else are you looking forward to seeing out of this offense in this game?
James Cook to keep his hot streak going, keep his target, Allen's target player, and our O-line, keep that like consistency that we've been seeing. I really am excited to see that consistent that we've found this season. It's been really great to see us like have a good game each week. I know we started rocky last week, but we found our rhythm, and I think we're in the groove now. And we had no turnovers this week as well, and let's keep it that way.
Yes, and then on the defensive side of the ball, we do have some good injury news, though, as Casey Toohill, Dwayne Smoot, and Javon Solomon are all back at practice, so that should help with the depth of our defensive line. But, Caleb, what are you looking forward to seeing out of this defense?
So to start off just with the pass rushers, you just brought up edge rushers. Cam Robinson, Anton Harrison, they're an okay tackle duo. I'd say it's slightly below average. So just sending a lot of blitzes, seeing how Rousseau, Von Miller, possibly Javon Solomon do, how many pressures it can get on Trevor Lawrence, who does sit well in the pocket, but he doesn't move very well. So you try to get some pressure on him. And as far as other aspects of the defense, it's the second level of those linebackers. Last time that we played Jacksonville, Travis Etienne had 180-plus yards from scrimmage, which obviously was a rough game because Matt Milano got hurt that game, and so did Daquan Jones. But just limiting the run and having Dorian Williams step up and fill those gaps and just not allowing him to get so much free room because he's really good in open space.
All right. And then, Thomas, what is your game prediction for this, your score prediction?
I'm going to go with 31-21. I think Buffalo finally gets the monkey off their back, if you will, similar to the Bills and Titans series we've had. I think that this is the season where they have to come to our house on Monday night. I think Buffalo finally gets the win. 31-21 is my final score.
Michelle, what about you?
My score prediction is 28-13. I think we are going to do great against the Jags.
Caleb, how about you?
I'm going to go a little bit more conservative here. I think the score is going to be 20-13. Low-scoring game, a lot of running the football, and just trying to control the possession game as we really have done that poorly against Jacksonville the last few matchups.
Yeah, for me personally, I also think it'll be a touchdown game, but I have a little bit higher score. I'm going with 24-17. I agree there's going to be a lot of running the football. I just think our offense is good enough where we should be at least scoring 24-plus points every single game as we have in these last two games. I do expect Jacksonville to keep it close as we have struggled against them in years past, but I think 24-17 is pretty realistic. After the commercial break, we have Colin to talk about the NFL.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
How's your serve coming? I think we'll work on it this weekend.
Amy's slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made. If you do...
Welcome back to Buffalo Sports Insider. I'm your host, Colin Ritchie. For the NFL segment of the show, I'm joined by Spike, Sebastian, and London. We'll start with a recap of week 2 before getting into a preview for week 3. So going back to week 2, Sebastian, why don't you talk us through Saints Cowboys, which was one of the more surprising outcomes of the week?
Overall, a great game, but definitely a game that definitely shocked me. I really didn't expect Derek Carr to come in this season and play the way he's been playing, since he hasn't really played this way really since before COVID. Throughout this game, offense was there, defense was there, special teams was all a big part into this game. Throughout all 4 quarters, they were very physical, and Saints definitely had the momentum throughout the whole game. And key players who really stood out to me was Derek Carr. He went 11 for 16, 243 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. Then you also got Alvin Kamara, who had 20 carries with 115 yards and 3 touchdowns, as well as 57-yard touchdown from a passing completion, giving him another one. And then Rashid Shaheed with 4 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. Offensively, Saints had a total of 432 yards, with Cowboys having a total of 353. Cowboys' defense wasn't there. Their offense wasn't there. They looked sluggish out there through certain points, and the run game just wasn't working for them. So that was really it for the game.
Thank you, Sebastian. Now, Spike, your Jets got their first win of the season. They beat the Titans on Sunday. What did you see in that game?
Great use of a dual back system, something that I was preaching after the first game against the 49ers is something that we needed to implement into our offense. Braylon Allen went out there and got himself a day, only 56 total scrimmage yards, but he ended up with 2 touchdowns, a receiving and a rushing. And that rushing touchdown came on a beautiful 20-yard run to the outside that we needed to take that lead that ended up giving us the win. So that is our touchdown winning play by Braylon Allen, the youngest player in the NFL to ever score. So that is also technically, quote unquote, a historic performance there. So big ups to the rookie there. Aaron Rodgers looked pretty good. They let him throw a little bit more, only 176 yards, but then 2 touchdowns. And I will give some flowers to Will Levis for that beautiful end zone pass to Calvin Ridley that just went right between the arms of Chuck Clark and right underneath the legs of Sauce Gardner. It was a great play and great concentration on Calvin Ridley there, but the defense stood strong on that long 4th down as time expired to give us our first win of the season, and hopefully replicate that performance when we take on the Patriots at home.
I thought you were going to be thanking Will Levis for that lateral he had in the red zone, gifting the Jets a free possession. Jets also blocked a punt in that game too, so the Titans really just beating themselves in that one. London Chiefs-Bengals was probably the headliner for this weekend, and it did not disappoint. What did you see in that game?
Definitely. Every time these teams play, you know it's going to be like a playoff atmosphere game. This game went down to the final drive where Harrison Butker still in the game for the winning field goal. My opinion, personally, I thought the Bengals were going to win this game before the PI was called, and it advanced the Chiefs up the field, where that helped Harrison Butker seal the game. I will say this Chiefs team, they didn't run the ball that good this game. Well, they didn't look bad running the ball, but with Isaiah Pacheco now being hurt and Carson still having to come in, you definitely want to see how they'll play out with that after. Patrick Mahomes definitely led this offense. You know, he didn't have the best game, I will say, throwing 2 interceptions, only 151 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns. I will say this team did look a little sloppy. They were a little inefficient this game. They went 1 and 8 on 3rd down conversions. I will say Joe Burrow leading his Bengals team. He had a great game, 2 touchdowns. Besides, I will say he did have that fumble that led the Chiefs to go up 23-22 late in that game. Cincinnati didn't have the best game running the ball with Zach Moss, Jay Brown. And I feel it was a big part that Jamar Chase played with his hold. He felt that he should have had that holding call, but he needed to keep his temper a little more because that gave away that penalty. But overall, I will say Cincinnati defense did give Patrick Mahomes a great problem. There was a great interception by Cam Taylor-Britt. And yeah, it was a great game. It definitely was.
I agree. The Chiefs looked sloppy. Unfortunately, that just doesn't matter for them in the regular season as they've shown in seasons past. Moving on to week 3, we've got another great slate of games coming up. Sebastian, Chargers and Steelers, 2 of the 9 teams remaining that are undefeated so far. They match up on Sunday at 1:00. What are you looking for in that matchup?
Honestly, I'm looking forward to a defensive game. Honestly, both teams have played very good defensively. Offensive-wise, they can step it up. Defensively, they both outplayed their teams, which definitely led Steelers to actually having a benefit when it comes to defensive-wise. Offensively for the Steelers, there have been a lot of talks about Russell Wilson coming back this weekend, but I wouldn't personally have him start over Justin Fields. I think if you let Justin Fields play football right now, let him run the ball, let him protect the ball the way he's been going so far this season, I personally wouldn't even take him out. Because you know what? Unless it causes the Steelers to lose games, And if he's putting up bad stats, then I'll take him out. The Steelers defense right now just needs to just keep performing the way they're doing. Offensively for the Chargers, J.K. Dobbins, he's been balling. He's been a straight dog this season and is leading the NFL currently right now in rushing yards. And Steelers are a team that you can always rely on having a winning season. With the new offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith, things can go pretty smoothly with them right now. And Steelers have not even given up a turnover yet this season. So hopefully Steelers got it.
That's going to be an injury report to monitor, as Justin Herbert did not practice today with an ankle injury. So that's something to keep an eye on for later in the week. Spike, we know you're a Matthew Stafford fan. They're playing the 49ers this week. Does Matthew Stafford have anyone healthy to throw to or to block for him at this point?
Well, if they gave me a contract, I may not be able to play, but I am healthy. But that team is banged up. The offensive line is riddled with injuries. Two of their defensive backs are also injured. Cooper Kupp is injured. Obviously, we know Puka is also injured. And Matthew Stafford did take quite a beating in that game against the Cardinals, getting sacked multiple times. I mean, it is not a good look for this Matthew Stafford Rams team. I was very high on the Rams to be at least competitive this year, hopefully make it back to the playoffs. I had them at least a solid 9-8, 10-7, nothing too fancy, just getting into the second season. But the 49ers are also not without injuries, as they are also dealing with Deebo Samuel going to be sidelined for a couple of weeks. Christian McCaffrey is going to be sidelined as well. So Brandon Ayuk, who has had a sluggish start to the season, is going to be taking on a much larger role in that offense. And hopefully Brock Purdy can command that offense as well. But I believe 49ers should be able to cruise past the Rams here with or without the injuries that team is facing. I just believe the 49ers are the better team there in that division. And again, a division game as well. The 49ers are going to be looking to take advantage of an injured, riddled team, and they're not going to play down to their opponents, and they are going to take this one almost as easy as taking candy from a baby. I know it's a cliche, but this Rams team is just missing too much, and Matthew Stafford is a bit on the older end to be taking hits like that to keep playing at the top level. So I say the 49ers take this one with ease.
We've got two teams matched up this weekend, the Ravens and the Cowboys. Both came into the year with high expectations, both off to a slow start. Ravens 0-2, Cowboys 1-1. London, what are you looking for in this game?
I will be looking forward to see how the Cowboys will defend the run game of the Ravens with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. I know the Ravens definitely will not want to fall to 0-3 with the tough schedule that they have going forward after this game. I know that watching these Ravens pass games, they've kind of been getting killed defensively on defending the pass. So you kind of wonder if that will kind of abuse that a little more. So I'm definitely hoping to see the Ravens try to pull this one out with their tough schedule. And yeah,
you mentioned that the Ravens in jeopardy of falling to 0-3 since the playoffs have expanded to 7 teams per conference. No team that has started 0-3 has ended up making the playoffs. So the Ravens could be on the wrong side of history after Sunday. That will wrap up our NFL segment. We've got one more segment for you, so make sure to stay tuned after this.
You wouldn't do that. So why do you do this? Distracted driving kills an average of 9 people and injures over 1,000 every day in America. Put down your phone. Lives depend on it. Don't drive intoxicated. Don't drive intoxicated. A sobering message from AAA.
How was school today?
It was good.
Did you play volleyball?
Yes.
And how's your serve coming along?
Not so good.
I think we should work on it this weekend.
Amy's birthday bash slumber party is this weekend.
Is your homework done?
No.
That was the deal we made.
Yeah, exactly. You're the host.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to our final segment of the episode on Full Force. It's not our Thomas Bailey, joined by Alex Holmgren and Nathan Palmer. So today we're going to talk about the MLB first. In the AL, the playoff race is tightening as the New York Yankees at 88-63 are battling with the Orioles, who are 84-67 for the AL East Division title. And then on top of that, you have the Guardians at 87-65 in the AL Central, who all three of these teams are battling for the division. And on top of that, the 1 seed in this year's playoff. So Then you have the Royals, who are 82-70 as they pull away in the wild card race. The Twins are right there behind them at 80-71. And then the final wild card will come down to a 3-team battle with the Twins at 80-71 again, 79-73 Detroit Tigers, and the Seattle Mariners at 77-74. So what are your guys' thoughts on this one? What do you think this playoff race is going to shape out to be? And I'll start with Alex.
Personally, I think that the Yankees win their
division. They're up by 4 games with only 11 left. They seem to, and they've been playing really well recently, while the Orioles have not. I think the Guardians continue to run away with that division. I think they win behind their elite bullpen and their clutch hitting. I mean, Jose Ramirez, Emmanuel Clase, absolute studs. This is one of the best reliever seasons of all time by Emmanuel Clase. That does not get talked about enough. I think the Royals can continue to keep in that the 5 seed. I think they basically have that locked up. I don't see them passing the Orioles, but I don't see that the Twins or Tigers catch them. And then I think the Tigers do end up getting that 6 seed. I just trust their pitching a lot more. And the Twins just haven't been playing great lately, because the only reason the record is as good as they have is they've just beaten up on the White Sox. Like, their record against every team not named the White Sox is like 10 games below 500. It's pretty bad. And then the Tigers have 3 more against the White Sox. So I think that is a big difference. So I will go, and then the Astros end up winning the AL West. That's pretty much locked up. But that's what I have for the AL playoffs.
Right, Nate?
I disagree with Alex. I think the Twins picked up a really big win yesterday versus the Guardians. That gives them a 1.5 game lead on the Tigers for the last AL wildcard spot, with about 11 games to go in the regular season. So it's going to be tight going down the stretch. And the Twins need to get every win that they could get.
All right, Antonio?
I'll have to say that the AL is looking a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Ever since the All-Star break, the Orioles have been looking a lot worse, especially against teams with the 500 win rate and above. You know, they just lost 10-0 yesterday, down 4 games in the AL East. It looks like they're going to slip on that one. And they had a healthy lead in the first wild card spot, but now with the way they're playing, they play Detroit this weekend, and I don't know at this point who even knows how that series is going to go. Then they end the season off against the Yankees and Minnesota. So if they continue playing the way they are now, there's a very good chance that they fall down even lower in the wild card race.
Right. And then we got the NL side of things. It's a 2-team race for the conference between the Phillies, who are 91-60, and then the Dodgers at 89-62. You can throw the Padres in there if you'd like at 86-66, but realistically, it's between those first 2 teams. Honestly, for this wild card race, it's going to be a dogfight. We have 4, maybe even 5 teams that are in the thick of it. I would stick with just 4 now. Those 3 wild card spots that are available here, the Padres at 86-66, they could definitely get in. I'm pretty sure that they're pretty much a lock at this point. You got the Diamondbacks and the Mets both at 83-68, and then you got the Braves just a little bit behind at 81-70. So what are your guys' thoughts on this one, and who gets this one set, as the Brewers have the NL Central wrapped up as well?
Personally, I think that
the Phillies end up taking away that 1 seed. I just think they're playing better baseball than the Dodgers are right now. And really, when it comes down to it, at the end of the year, they have the 1 game lead. They're playing better baseball. I just think they hold on to that, even though it is extremely tight. And then in the wild card, the Padres hold on there. I think the Diamondbacks continue. They hold on to the 5, and then I think the Braves overtake the Mets. To get the 6th seed. The Mets do miss out on the playoffs. I just trust Chris Sale and company with the Braves. They have better star power. I think they're a little bit deeper. I think they're able to go on a run late. And the Mets are known for collapsing, so I think this is another year of them collapsing away that wild card spot.
Nate?
Again, I gotta respect with my man Alex. I think the Mets will hold on for that last final spot. I am a Braves fan, but I just think they're too beat up right now. And so I think I see things slipping from them a bit. I think the Mets will hold on to that final NL wildcard spot.
All right, and Antonio?
I'm gonna have to agree with Nate on this one. It's been very close between the Mets and the Braves so far, coming up to the end of the season. But if I had to pick a team, I think the Mets have the better momentum since the All-Star break coming down the wire, and I think they'll be able to be the team that pulls it out at the end.
All right, and then the last little thing we want to do with the MLB segment here. There were a ton of games yesterday. What game do you think was the most impactful for these teams in the playoff race? Alex, we'll start with you. Let's go rapid.
I think I'm going to go with the Yankees. They just now they're one game away from clinching the playoffs. They're 4 games up on the AL division against the Orioles. And Soto just hit his 40th home run of the year. They're the first Yankees duo since the legendary Mantle Maris season 1961 to each hit 40 home runs in a season with him and Aaron Judge. So I want to give them their flowers. It's very impressive.
All right, Nate.
For me, again, I think
it's the Twins versus the Guardians. They're fighting for that last final playoff spot in the AL. Most of the other teams pretty much they know they're in. It's just a matter of seeding at that point. But with the Twins, they're fighting for their season. So I think that was the biggest game.
All right, and then Antonio.
I got to go with the Orioles losing 10-zip ever since the All-Star game. They've been playing very up and down. Teams, a lot of the pitching is injured. Team as a whole just hasn't been the way they were in the first half of the season. They have a tough end to the schedule. And now with the way things are going, there's a chance that they don't even keep that first spot in the wild card. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they can pick things up.
All right. And then lastly for our segment here today, the WNBA. The New York Liberty at 32-7 lead the East. And in the West, it's the Minnesota Lynx who are dominating at 30-9. They are also 9-1 in their last 10. The Connecticut Sun of the East are 27-12 and have looked great. And then in the West, you have the Las Vegas Aces who are 26-13 with an 8-2 record in their last 10 games. Honestly, they're right there in the conference race as well. And with this playoff race thickening here, we had a few games yesterday with the Liberty defeating the Mystics 87-71. The Lynx narrowly taking down the Sun 78-76 in the tight end clash. The Dream beating the Sky 86-70. And lastly, the Aces defeating the Storm 85-72. So which one of these games would you say, Nate, is the most important game of those 4?
By far, man, it's got to be the Dream and their victory over the Sky because that's for the last final 8th spot of the WNBA playoffs. And the Dream put themselves in position to own their own destiny. So if they win Thursday for the final regular season game, they're in. It's as simple as that. Chicago's going to need some help. The Mystics, they're going to need some help as well. So I think the Dream did a good job putting themselves in the driver's seat.
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching another episode of Buffalo Sports Insider. Today was our 50th episode, which is crazy to believe over these few years. Thank you so much for all of your love and support. We appreciate that very much. My name's Thomas Bailey, alongside Alex Smiley, Antonio Calderon, and Nathan Palmer, signing off from Buffalo Sports Insider. Until next time.